Welcome to the XP Guild. I am David L. Weaver, co-creator, along with my partner and best friend, Bill Geltz. We started this channel slash business about 11-27, and we've been putting out videos that are all about gaming. We are presently doing a series called Umberhaven, which is a D&D 5th edition style game based in a homebrew world that we created ourselves. Our first game was an adventure module that is known as the Wiltram Train Heist, and we ran our first game. Everybody was first level, and it was set in the winter time. Our second game was higher level because the way we designed the adventure module, it's scalable, as well as it has different seasons and a lot of interesting stuff going on with it. Well, the second time, I do believe it was in the springtime, and we had an interesting time of it. Everybody was third level. The party split off is what happened with the third one. So the way they split off was as simply as someone went to a town that we have written in the module called Crossroads. It's about 50 miles out of Umberhaven. And in between that, we have a random village that came into play that had a bridge crossing over the train tracks. You'll have to watch the video. Like I said, go to the XP Guild on our YouTube channel. Eventually we'll have that video up. Right now we're editing. All our videos on YouTube are edited. So essentially today, like I said, this new show that I'm doing is called Dave's Doodles. It's going to be a series of episodes that involve simply me drawing, mostly maps, could be other things, but it's all going to be based around our world settings that we've created, and the adventure modules, as well as our soon-to-be one-shot adventures. It's going to be maybe 2 to 5 pages long with a map included, so they're going to be a lot of fun, as well as opportunities for those that want to get involved. We'll have our interest posts looking for players, so you'll get a chance to be involved in that if that's something that you're interested in doing. So today I'm going to be using a stupid, super easy program called Dungeondraft. I have fallen in love with this program. It is so easy to use. So easy to use. So let's begin, shall we? There it is. Welcome to Dungeondraft. Right now, the guy that is creating it, Megasploot, I'm hoping I'm saying his name right. Right there. He, as you can see up here at the top, it's at 09.51 Juvenile Centipede. Every time he does update, he gets creative with his little names of the updates. Well, the updates range from creating a lot of different things to fixing a lot of stuff too. So, I mean, he is on it a regular basis. So, up here at the top, right here, you can go to his website and download Dungeondraft for, I do believe at the moment it is $19.99. So let's begin. Essentially, like I said, the party split off, and 2 of them went to Crossroads. The other 2 went to the small village that was out of the blue, came up with. So I figured, why not let's create the village, in particular the bridge that they stood on and had a rather affectionate moment while they waited. So I do believe that we're going to officially call the bridge the Lover's Bridge. We may change it in the future. We may even do a poll on it as far as name calling the bridge. So you got Dungeondraft open. You just download it and stuff like that. So you want to create something now. So you go over to the new section up here at the top, You can also do Control N. That's another thing really cool about this program. It's got a lot of little things to tell you on what you can do as far as being, you know, a keyboard wizard or a mouse guy. Or a mouse person. I am pretty much, for the most part, a mouse person. So click on New, and then it pulls up this little window here. This is the wonderful, wonderful dimension area, I guess you would call it. It's 20 tiles by 20 tiles right now. It's pretty much, I do believe it's the standard as far as when you always pull up this window. So when you go to you can do templates if you like, to adjust what kind of paper and size and stuff like that. I usually leave it blank because I've yet to play in those sizes or print out such things. So all my stuff is digital, so I'm fine with it. But if you want to print something out for your players, or if you've got a big flat screen TV that you're, you know, playing around with your players, you know, although it is COVID, but, you know, some people still get together. So you've got those options. So the width is 20 by 20 tiles, which is pretty much the way I do tiles for me, is that I do the tiles is 5 by 5. So they're 5 foot by 5 foot. So 100 by 100, I do believe, if I'm doing my math right. So we're going to push OK. And this is what happens when you do that. Loading. Bam. So this is what it looks like. You can do Control mouse wheel and it brings it in and out. And then you can do spacebar and you can move it around. So this is a good area to work with. Now the cool thing about Dungeondraft is, say you fill this area up and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have any more space left, but I need so much more to draw. So up here at menu, you click on menu and you've got the little thing called change map. Now, mind you, it will pop up with this warning: you cannot undo a map size change. Please save or back up prior to continuing. I haven't had a problem with that yet. I have expanded the map, shrunk the map, done all kinds of stuff with the map with this, you know, changing the map size, and it's worked. It's worked. I will let you know though, just like any program on your computer, save, save, save. I can't tell you how many times I've drawn something out and there was a glitch and I lost all that information. So please save. But yeah, you can pretty much say I want to go 5 more feet this way, 5 more feet this way, and bam. But I want to go back to what I was originally, so I just go over here and do the negatives. -5, -5, and bam, goes back to the original size. Now we're going to call this, okay, so right now it's in this weird name with asterisks. It means you haven't saved yet. So simple save as. This is a lot of my work right now, but we'll move it over to just somewhere on here. The XP Guild stuff, we'll put it there. And we're going to call it Lover's Bridge. I can type right. Obviously, it didn't show it on the map, but that's okay. This is also not a paid advertisement and not sponsored by Dungeondraft. I just love the program. That's as simple as that. So they are not in any way, shape, or form going, hey. So there we go. So let's go ahead and start off with landscape. So you've got design, terrain, objects, effects, settings, text, which they recently added, prefabs, which they really recently added, and select, which is a very useful tool. Also, another thing that I'm going to be doing is, through this series, I'm only going to be using the vanilla version. I guess it was a couple of updates prior to this one. I can't remember exactly how many updates it was, but they added this wonderful thing called assets. What assets is, essentially, it allows you to add your own artwork, whether you draw out a box or a couch or anything, you can draw it out and plug it into this program, and bam, you've got your own drawing. Now, mind you, if you're not artistically inclined, don't worry about it. They have a Reddit page, and they also have a few more other pages. I don't have the links with me. I will put them in the YouTube channel once we edit this and plug it into YouTube. I'll put all those links in there for anybody interested. But you can download your own assets from these other people that have created these mega packs. I mean, hundreds of objects they've drawn. Some of them you pay money to, which is totally fine. Definitely go support your local artists and whatnot. Others just give them to you for free, which is amazing, because it's just like you drew all that and you're giving away for free. That's pretty amazing. So yes, for now we're doing only vanilla. So we're going to put our terrain down, aka our landscape. So when you click on landscape, or terrain, sorry, you have terrain brush, water brush, material brush, path tool, and naturally back goes back to the main area. So when you click on your terrain icon, we won't have to deal with water because we're not dealing with any water whatsoever. But our terrain, once you click on terrain, then suddenly this opens up. Notice you got the circle. That is your brush itself, and this is your brush size, which basically allows you to adjust it however tiny to large. I usually like to play around in the small size of scales from 1 to, I've gone up to 5 for the most part. I really don't go any bigger than that because I don't do super large scale maps. And when I want to cover the entire area, I just go down to this little button called fill, and it just does it for me. I don't have to sit there and spray all this area and things of that nature. So now you also have intensity. Intensity allows naturally how intense the landscape is. I usually like to crank that puppy up all the way, plain and simple. I've done maybe one map that I've done it with low intensity because I wanted to do various layers melding into each other, but I don't go too much into the intensity. Now you've got the biomes. The biomes basically is this little area right here. Notice it's under settlement, but you can click on that and you've got barren, desert, mountain, prairie, rainforest, settlement, and swamp. Pretty much where the village is out at, it's about 25 miles outside of Umberhaven. This basically, Umberhaven is this big metropolis of a city that we consider it to be roughly London 1800s. If you're familiar with Waterdeep, it's basically Waterdeep in Victorian era. So that's how we define that area. So outside the city, naturally, there's going to be farmland of all sorts, and each little farm community is going to have their own little small village. So this village has a bridge that we'll get into as far as how big the village is later. As we draw the bridge first, then we'll start actually getting into the building of the village itself. So we're gonna go prairie. I think that's the most obvious. Now notice all of a sudden, bam, it just changed my terrain to terrain grass, which we need. But say you wanted, to do it yourself. So you go to terrain dirt and you can go in here and fill in however much you want, however little you want. Now mind you, I've got the brush size at 5. Now if I turn it down to 1, you can do little bitty stuff. Little bitty stuff. So that's the way that works. From there, if you want to, say, erase some of this, so you just go back to terrain grass and erase. So that's the way you do that. So right now we want it as all terrain grass for now. So bam, just click on the fill button and it does it for you. Simple, easy. Like I said, it's super stupid, simple, easy program. Okay, so we got the grass down. Now the key thing to this is the train. So the way I designed it was sand first and then gravel after that. So we already got the gravel. So normally let's go ahead and put sand down. Now notice sand is not here. We're definitely not going to be playing around with snow because it was the springtime when this happened. So we're going to still keep it within the springtime. So let's go ahead and get rid of snow. So over here you've got this another little icon. So click on that. Bam! Suddenly you have all the terrain, which some of it you can't see because this is in the way, but that's okay. I don't usually play with this. It's like, there it is. Terrain void. So let's go to terrain sand. And now we're going to lay down the sand. So let's go ahead and see if we can't blow it up just a little bit. And it's okay if it's not perfect, because you can always adjust it afterward. Let's go ahead and make a pretty good chunk of it right about here in the middle, or close to the middle. Like I said, we can readjust it later. Let's try to lay down some sand. Oh, nope, it's doing the grass again. Sometimes it does it. It automatically switches over back to its default setting. So you've got to kind of pay attention to that. So, sand. I'm going to try to make it at least as uniformed as possible. Go a little bit bigger just in case. Now notice I went over a little bit. That's okay. If you go over a little bit, you can go back and change it again. As Bob Ross would say, happy little trees, fluffy little clouds. Or how'd it go? No, there's no wrong mistakes. There's no mistakes. There's only a happy little something and others. I forgot. Oh my God, and I'm an artist. So, oops. Sorry, Bob. Okay, so we got that down. So let's go ahead and get into our terrain gravel. So I'm going to lay it down right in the middle here. Now, oftentimes when I design something, I'll design it, draw it out, and then go, what would it be like in the real world? And then I go, oops. I have a tendency to draw things way bigger than what they are in the real world. So like my homebrew, I guess self-created homebrew world of Seraphim. It drew it all out and then got into the actual math of things, or the geography of things, and it's twice the size of Earth. There's a mega city also within that world setting called Reinhardt, and I wanted to be like Rome and stuff like that, so I drew the entire thing out. 3 millimeters equals 10 feet. Insane project. And come to find out that my map was only 1 square mile big, and at the height of Rome, I do believe at the time of the research I did, I think it said it was 5 square miles big or something like that. So I was like, no, I must have it bigger. So I drew it out, and naturally after I drew it out, I didn't do any measurements whatsoever. I just drew it out, and then I went back and measured it. Yep, the map is 10 square miles big. So, oops. So the train in Umberhaven is pretty much twice the size of a normal train. So yes. So it is literally 10 feet wide. I do believe that the math of the train size it's not terribly bigger than that, but I think it was 8 feet or something like I can't remember exactly. I have it all saved. But yes, so our train has 10-foot wide train tracks. So, oh, my fault. So the actual cars themselves would be 20 feet, I do believe. So yeah. So yeah, huge. So, all right, so we got our terrain down. We got everything going on as far as our basis. Now we need to put down the train track. So where you find that at is under, let's see if it'll do it for me, terrain, water, material, path tool. When you click on path tool, it comes up with a whole selection of fun stuff to choose from. Your width, your smoothness, always leave smoothness on the highest setting because I like it. You can do it like rough, say you're doing like fence post or dilapidated, area, then or a worn out area like old wagon path or something like that, then yeah, you'll want the smoothness all rough and stuff. That way you can add fallen trees and underbrush and rocks and all kinds of stuff. So layers, I usually like to leave everything at 100, use layer 1 at the moment. And then when you start building your stuff, like adding objects and things of that nature, then you'll get off into the layer thing. And the cool thing they recently added was that you can move the layers now with the click of a button from the bottom to the top. So, which is really, really cool. So, as you can see, our different paths is blood trail, chain, cliff, rail without ties, log fence, rail, and it goes on from there. So we're going to click on rail. So right now it's at 1. So what 1 looks like as far as width is this. So I'm going to crank that puppy up to, I do believe it's 1.5. It could be 2. I can't remember exactly. Yeah, it's 2. Oh, no, too far. Yeah, there it is. Now notice you can pretty much move it around. If you right click it, it stops. And then if you left click it, you can actually tilt it and turn it and things of that nature. So you could almost not quite make a circle, but you have to click and then it goes. Oh, I did that wrong, but yeah. On and on and on. So now you've got this huge mess of a doom going on, and you still got it attached. Now, how do you get out of that? I just simply go over here to the arrow key, click that, gone, and then go back to your path tool. And now you've got this weird railroad track, so just push undo, and there you go. So let's go ahead and lay down our train track. And the way you do that is you left click, drag, and then whenever you want to stop, you can double click or you can drag and right click, whichever works for you. Okay, so our train track is down. So now we need to create a bridge. So the bridge is over here in the lovely, let's go ahead and get out of that. Go back. Objects. Now, objects is a fun little area. You've got object tool, scatter tool, and back naturally. So when you click on object tool, you've got a whole selection of stuff to choose from in the vanilla area. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. And he's talking about when he finally releases 1.0 version that he's going to refine a bunch of stuff and add even more objects, which is going to be nuts. So you've got 3 different categories, which is all what you just saw. Used, which you have none because you have yet to select and click and paste on your map anything. And then you got tags. When you click on tags, notice over here to the left that it opens this category right here, which has all the different areas. And then say you want to click on, oh, I don't know, cart. So when you click on cart, notice it opens up a bunch of horses and a cart of various forms in nature. But you can go up here to custom set and say you want crafts and trades. So you click on that and then it brings up all the different areas and the different objects within that area, which is really, really neat. So we're going to go back to this, and where the bridge is at is, I do believe, if I remember right, is under... Nope, not fixtures. It was... After using this program, I still don't remember where everything is at, because a lot of it is just, it's so much stuff here. So it's under structure. And this is all the different structures. And here's our bridge. Or it's also, duh, I forgot about that. It's like I said, bridge. So we got this bridge, we got that bridge, and we got this bridge. So I do believe that we're going to go with this bridge. We're not going to go with the wooden bridge because it was a more permanent structure within the adventure module. And it was pretty wide. So notice when you first click on that, it comes up this size. Now, how do you make it bigger? Well, you just simply click on Alt and you can scale it up. Or naturally you can go over here to scale and rotation, but you can do it with all the mouse and stuff like that. Notice when you do that, also notice there's a little shadow on there. So when you can either have the shadow on there if you would like. I normally like to just turn it off because we often use Roll20 when we run our games, and that's just an extra layer that we just don't use. So let's go ahead and add our bridge. So you can now notice that it's pretty level or even. So say if I scale it down to some weird area, like say something like that, you'll notice that it's snapping to the various areas. Now when I lay it down, the next one, oh, actually it does, they changed that. And so, but sometimes it doesn't snap correctly. So you just go down here and notice it says grid, which you can turn off or you can turn back on. Snap, lighting, which we will get into in a little bit. And then snap. You can turn it and notice how smooth and everything flows better. So with that being that, we're just going to expand the bridge. Bam. And I always like to rotate it several times around. That way I get a more even connection depending on what it is. See, notice how it just lines up just right. Oh, sort of. Sometimes it's not completely perfect. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Because most of the time you're going to see your map like this. You're not going to get like all super close and personal with it. Okay, so now we need a road. So we're going to go back over to Terrain Brush. And I do believe we're going to go with Terrain Gravel again. Because it's an established village. So we got the intensity at 8. We got the brush size at 2. So I think we're just gonna add her little road. Our happy little road. Now there's another way you can do this. Instead of, notice the difference between the colorations. So say it's like, okay, I like the color of the bridge, but I don't like the color of the gravel. And unfortunately, they have yet to add a paint option to the terrain just yet. Pretty sure he will eventually. So let's go undo this, and let's go to this wonderful thing up here at the top called Design. Now, when you click on Design, this is where you get into your buildings and your walls and your doors. And if you want to do a dungeon, a traditional dungeon, thus the name of it, that's where it's at. So I'm going to click on the building tool itself. This is where you get off into the actual simplified building of your structures right offhand. So I've got on not on snap. I'm gonna go turn snap back on. That way it'll be super easy to click on it. So you basically left click, hold, and drag and let go. Bam. And suddenly you have a little small shack. So I'm gonna undo that. Now what I like to do with this particular area is the flooring. Notice you have all different types of flooring. I use carpet a lot, and I usually use it for like spaces I want to fill in that I don't want the players to see. Right now they're in a temple, and the spaces in between the walls aren't necessarily rock. They're just kind of like this weird vacant void. So I usually click on carpet, and then it opens up. See, it says blue. So if you click on that, then you get to play with the awesomeness of the paint palette. And I usually turn that puppy to black. Accept, and now you've got a black space, which you can, like, pretty much, bam. Nope. That's another thing I'm going to show y'all. So it's still on wall. You just simply, and it's got, this is the only selection of wall that it's got in vanilla. When you get into assets, oh my god, there's so many different types of walls that you can get into, drawn simply by other people, unless if you want to draw your own. But yeah, you click on the wall, the X, and now you just got flooring to play with. So that little black spot, bam. See, now that's what happens. So what we're going to do actually is go over to cobblestone, and that I do believe matches pretty well with the actual bridge. Now notice there's a little gap in between the bridge. What I like to do is go over a little bit and fill that in underneath, because I'll automatically go underneath the bridge, because the bridge is the top asset, or not top asset, but the top object in the layer. So bam, and there it is. Matches pretty closely. It's not going to be perfect, and that's another thing that they added in the updates, because a few, I don't know how many exactly in the past, but they did half squares, which it used to be not half squares at all, so which was a pain in the butt. so then you got all that going on. So now you've got your bridge and you've got your road that leads up to the bridge. I do believe we're going to add some lighting now, and the way you go to lighting is click once again over here to objects. And now we're going to do a fun thing that I love to do with this program, is I take all the vanilla stuff and build other things with it. Oh, that's another thing. It holds on to whatever you last used. Oh, and if you go over to use, notice you've got a bridge now. So you can always go back to your used stuff and reuse it if you need to. So when I got this floating around, usually I just go ahead and Alt and scroll down where it's a little tiny. That way it's not annoying. So when you go over to structure, you notice they have road signs. So what I will do with this road sign is, so we got to blow it up once again. For me, that looks like a really good lamp post. So now you're going to have these areas over here called over and under. This is where we're going to get to start playing with layers. So whenever I try to lay down the first area, I always do over. And that's another thing with objects, I always turn off snap, because now I can freely move it and place this object anywhere. We're going to blow it up again. So this lamppost is huge right now. It's like almost 10 feet. So we're going to scale it back down to, I'm going to say roughly about here. A little less than 5 feet. That's fine. I'm going to put it at the end of the bridge. One there and one there. We're not going to worry about the other side of the bridge because I'm going to show you another nifty little thing you can do with Dungeondraft. And that involves this little arrow over here to the left. So now we need lighting. So you simply click lighting. And I'm going to go with the square lamp. That's pretty good system. Now notice it's above your thing. And it's like, wait, that's not right. The lamp's supposed to hang underneath the actual lamp post itself, or at least, you know, the way I'm designing it is. So I click under, and suddenly your lamp post is now under, or your lamp is actually now under your lamp post. I line it just right, and there you go. There's your 2 lamp posts. So now let's go ahead and do the other side. The other side involves this lovely little arrow right here called select. This is a lovely tool. So you just left click. If it will work great, sometimes it doesn't. No, it's going to be difficult now. So sometimes, now this is a neat little thing that it does. This is one of the little glitches that I found recently with this particular update. That sometimes when you do select, not always, some of the glitches are not like this. Yep. So what I do with this little glitch right now, he'll fix it within the next update. And sometimes it doesn't do this all the time. So I'll go to new and just scale something down to the lowest level. And by the way, this is the farthest you can go. And I'll go new. Open that up. Then I'll go ahead and go back to open and find Lover's Bridge within my, where I saved it at. You can't see where I saved it at, but I've got it in a file, the XP stuff. So I'm going to reopen, and bam, your thing is back to normal. Everything's peachy keen. And now watch, you left click, and now you can drag. So yeah, these glitches happen because it's still within the, I guess, the working testing stage until he officially comes out when he's like thoroughly done, which I don't see him ever being done with it, which I'm totally fine with. So every time he comes out with a new update, it's like, ooh, awesome, new stuff to play with.